History is a winding road full of twists and turns. Every turn presents a choice, a fork in the road leading to countless possibilities. What if we could rewind, revisit those forks, and explore the paths not taken? This is the essence of alternate history, a captivating thought experiment that allows us to imagine what-if scenarios. In 2016, the United States stood at a crossroads, facing a pivotal presidential election. The outcome, a victory for Donald Trump over Hillary Clinton, shocked many and set the nation on an unexpected course. But what if the outcome had been different? What if Hillary Clinton had won? This essay delves into this alternate timeline, exploring how a Clinton presidency might have shaped America's trajectory. This is not about rewriting history or dwelling on what could have been. It's about understanding the power of choice and the profound impact it has on our world. It's about acknowledging the fragility of our reality, where seemingly small shifts can result in dramatically different outcomes. This is the story of what might have been, had Hillary Clinton become the 45th President of the United States. Hillary Clinton, a seasoned diplomat with years of experience on the world stage, has always been a prominent figure in international relations. Her tenure as Secretary of State under President Obama saw her navigating complex global issues and forging critical alliances. This background provided her with a unique perspective on how to handle the intricate web of global diplomacy. Had she won the presidency, Clinton would have likely taken a drastically different approach to foreign policy than her successor Donald Trump. While Trump's foreign policy was often characterized by unpredictability and a focus on unilateral actions, Clinton's approach would have been more predictable and multilateral. Her campaign rhetoric painted a picture of a more engaged America, a nation committed to strengthening alliances and leading through diplomacy rather than military might. Clinton emphasized the importance of working with international partners to address global challenges, from terrorism to climate change. One of the most significant departures from the Trump era would have been Clinton's stance on international agreements. She believed in the power of treaties and accords to foster cooperation and stability. Her administration would have likely prioritized re-engaging with international organizations and agreements that Trump had distanced the U.S. from. She was a vocal supporter of the Paris Agreement on climate change, a landmark accord that Trump withdrew from. Clinton understood the urgency of addressing climate change and saw the Paris Agreement as a critical tool in the global effort to reduce carbon emissions and mitigate the impacts of global warming. Under her leadership, the U.S. would have remained a signatory, potentially galvanizing global efforts to combat climate change. Clinton's administration would have likely invested in renewable energy and green technologies, positioning the U.S. as a leader in the fight against climate change. Relations with Russia, strained under the Trump administration, would have likely remained complex under Clinton. However, her approach would have been more nuanced. Clinton's experience as Secretary of State gave her a deep understanding of the intricacies of U.S.-Russia relations. Her approach, informed by her experience as Secretary of State, might have been more measured, focusing on strategic dialogue and collaboration on issues of mutual interest while standing firm against Russian aggression. Clinton would have likely sought to balance deterrence with diplomacy, aiming to prevent escalation while protecting U.S. interests. The Middle East, a region perpetually embroiled in conflict, would have presented another set of challenges. Clinton's extensive experience in dealing with Middle Eastern leaders and her understanding of the region's complexities would have been crucial in navigating these challenges. Clinton was a staunch supporter of the Iran nuclear deal, an agreement that Trump unilaterally abandoned. She believed that the deal was essential for preventing Iran from developing nuclear weapons and for maintaining stability in the region. Her administration might have preserved the deal, potentially preventing the escalation of tensions that followed its demise. Clinton's foreign policy would have been characterized by a commitment to diplomacy, multilateralism, and a belief in the power of international cooperation to address global challenges. The 2016 election had profound implications for the Supreme Court. The political landscape was already charged, but the stakes were raised even higher with the unexpected death of Justice Antonin Scalia. His passing left a significant void in the court, one that would become a pivotal issue in the election. The vacancy created by Justice Antonin Scalia's death became a political flashpoint, igniting fierce debates and strategic maneuvering from both sides of the aisle. the Republican-controlled Senate took an unprecedented step by refusing to consider President Obama's nominee, Merrick Garland, arguing that the next president should make the appointment. Merrick Garland, a highly respected judge with a centrist reputation, found himself at the center of this political storm. Despite his qualifications, his nomination was stalled, leaving the Supreme Court with only 8 justices for nearly a year. This strategic delay set the stage for the next president to shape the future of the court. This opened the door for Trump to appoint Neil Gorsuch, solidifying a conservative majority. Gorsuch's confirmation was a significant victory for conservatives who saw in him a jurist likely to uphold their values and interpret the Constitution in a manner similar to Scalia. In our alternate timeline, a President Clinton would have had the opportunity to fill Scalia's seat with a liberal-leaning justice, potentially Merrick Garland, or another progressive candidate. This appointment would have fundamentally shifted the balance of the court, creating a liberal majority for the first time in decades. Such a shift would have had profound implications for the court's decisions on a wide range of issues. The ideological balance of the Supreme Court is crucial because it influences how the justices interpret the Constitution and federal laws, affecting everything from individual rights to the powers of government. This would have had far-reaching consequences for a range of issues, from abortion rights to campaign finance reform. A liberal-leaning court would likely have been more supportive of reproductive rights, potentially expanding access to abortion services and upholding protections established under Roe v. Wade. The issue of abortion, a perennial battleground in American politics, would have likely seen renewed legal challenges. However, with a more liberal-leaning court, the landmark Roe v. Wade decision, which guarantees the right to abortion, would have likely remained protected, ensuring that women across the country retained control over their reproductive choices. The protection of Roe v. Wade would have been a significant victory for advocates of reproductive rights, but it would not have been the only area affected. Other contentious issues such as voting rights would also have seen different outcomes under a Clinton-appointed court. Voting rights, another contentious issue, would have also been impacted. The Supreme Court plays a crucial role in determining the constitutionality of voting laws, and a more liberal court would likely have been more sympathetic to challenges against restrictive voting laws that disproportionately affect minority and low-income voters. A Clinton-appointed court would have likely been more sympathetic to challenges against restrictive voting laws, potentially leading to greater access to the ballot box for minority and low-income voters. This could have resulted in a more inclusive and representative electoral process. The impact on voting rights would have been profound, potentially reversing decisions that have made it more difficult for certain groups to vote. This would have strengthened the democratic process and ensured that more voices were heard in the political arena. Campaign finance reform, an issue Clinton championed throughout her career, might have also seen progress under her presidency. The influence of money in politics has long been a contentious issue, with many arguing that it undermines the democratic process. A more liberal court might have been more willing to uphold campaign finance regulations, potentially curbing the influence of money in politics. This could have led to a more equitable political landscape, where candidates are less beholden to wealthy donors and special interest groups. The potential changes to the Supreme Court under a Clinton presidency highlight the profound impact that the court's composition can have on American society. From reproductive rights to voting laws and campaign finance, the justices' decisions shape the legal landscape and influence the lives of millions. The 2016 election exposed deep divisions within American society, revealing a nation split along various lines, political, social, and economic. These divisions were not new, but the election brought them into sharp focus, making it clear just how polarized the country had become. These divisions only seemed to widen during the Trump presidency, as his often controversial and combative style further inflamed tensions. The rhetoric and policies of the Trump administration acted as a catalyst, deepening the rift between different segments of the population. While it's impossible to say whether a Clinton presidency would have healed these wounds, it's worth exploring how her leadership might have impacted the political climate. Clinton, with her extensive experience in politics and governance, might have approached the presidency with a different set of priorities and strategies. Her focus on policy and her ability to navigate the complexities of Washington could have led to a different kind of political discourse. Clinton, a polarizing figure in her own right, would have likely faced fierce opposition from Republicans, many of whom viewed her with deep distrust. The rise of social media and its role in amplifying partisan tensions would have presented a unique challenge for any president, including Clinton. Social media platforms have become battlegrounds for political debates, often exacerbating divisions and spreading misinformation. Clinton would have had to contend with a Republican Party that was increasingly unified in its opposition to her. This opposition would have manifested in various ways, from legislative gridlock to public protests and media campaigns aimed at undermining her presidency. Many Republicans viewed Clinton with deep distrust, a sentiment that was fueled by years of political battles and controversies. This distrust would have made it difficult for her to build bridges and find common ground on key issues. The rise of social media and its role in amplifying partisan tensions would have presented a unique challenge, potentially making it difficult to bridge the political divide. Social media has a way of magnifying conflicts and creating echo chambers where people are only exposed to views that reinforce their own beliefs. This environment would have made it challenging for any president to foster a sense of national unity. However, Clinton's experience in navigating the complexities of Washington and her ability to work across the aisle might have enabled her to find common ground on certain issues. Her focus on policy over personality, a stark contrast to Trump's often combative style, might have fostered a more civil and productive political discourse. Clinton's approach to governance, which emphasized collaboration and compromise, could have led to more bipartisan support for key initiatives. Her ability to work across the aisle might have enabled her to find common ground on certain issues. Clinton's extensive experience in politics and her deep understanding of policy could have helped her navigate the challenges of a divided government. Her focus on policy over personality, a stark contrast to Trump's often combative style, might have fostered a more civil and productive political discourse. Clinton's approach to governance, which emphasized collaboration and compromise, could have led to more bipartisan support for key initiatives. It's important to acknowledge that the forces driving polarization in America run deep, transcending any single politician or party. The divisions within American society are rooted in a complex web of historical, social, and economic factors that cannot be easily addressed by any one leader. While a Clinton presidency might have altered the tenor of political discourse, it's unlikely it would have eradicated the underlying divisions that plague American society. The challenges of polarization are multifaceted and require a concerted effort from all levels of government and society to address. In conclusion, the question of how a Clinton presidency would have impacted polarization in America is complex and multifaceted. While her leadership style and focus on policy might have fostered a more civil discourse, the deep-rooted divisions within American society would have remained a significant challenge. The forces driving polarization in America run deep, transcending any single politician or party. The divisions within American society are rooted in a complex web of historical, social, and economic factors that cannot be easily addressed by any one leader. While a Clinton presidency might have altered the tenor of political discourse, it's unlikely it would have eradicated the underlying divisions that plague American society. The challenges of polarization are multifaceted and require a concerted effort from all levels of government and society to address. The question of how a Clinton presidency would have impacted polarization in America is complex and multifaceted. While her leadership style and focus on policy might have fostered a more civil discourse, the deep-rooted divisions within American society would have remained a significant challenge.